Alright, so why I quit weed and how it's improved my life so far. So, around 6 years ago now, I decided to quit. I went completely cold turkey, just put it down, and that was me done. Um, Early experiences with it, damn, I must have been like 15, maybe, something like that. 15, 16. And I remember one day just hanging out at my friend's house and he said he had some, and I didn't really know what the deal was, with it. So just decided to try it, and I didn't think much of it. But I'm a skateboarder. I'm very much into skating, and it's at the skate park a lot. You see a lot of people just smoking and whatever. It's a bit of a hangout spot for it. So growing up, like I'd already tried it once, so I thought, so I just kept sort of doing it. And I my friend group when I was at school, I just sort of associated with the skateboarders, the BMXers, and weed was always part of that. So I just kind of fell into it like in that way. So I spent a lot of my youth smoking. I probably consistently from like from 15 to I'd say 16, it was like here and there. It really was like I'd done it, but it wasn't like a massive part of like my life. I just do it here and there at skate sessions. Maybe at a friend's house. Wasn't very often. And then I'd say from 17 to 18, um, maybe even just like the beginning of like 19, that's when it ramped up massively. And yeah, I was using it a lot. We're actually right next to the skate park that I used to get high at like most days when I was like 17, 18. But, it was fun, man. It was super dope, and like I enjoyed it. I didn't really see it as like an issue in any way whatsoever. So there was a turning point of where it went from like casual use to like just abusive use, like abusing it, using it every day as like a coping mechanism. And it was sort of like a combination of things. Like a friend I had at the time, he just moved out into like this brand new apartment, and he also got like a lump sum of money. And he was like just saying, you should come over, like I'm buying weed, like we're all gonna smoke and all that. And it just started to like go out of hand like that. I was throwing money in, he was throwing money in, and we just get like a bag and smoke up in his room. And that would be like most days. Like we'd do that like most days. I used to get the train to college, and I used to look at college, like get to college, look at it and be like, nah man, not today. And then I'd get back on the train, go back a few stops to his house, and then just like go up and fucking used to bum about smoking weed all the time. And it was super dope. It was like seriously sick. Like I had a great time. Here's what like the turning point. At college, like I got into this relationship with a girl and it didn't work out. And this was like the first time like I'd properly, had my heart broken type deal. So it was like a pretty bad breakup, and I was already smoking quite heavily at the time. And then the use just turned up a notch. After that whole breakup, I was using the weed as like a coping mechanism. I was smoking like just abusing it like a lot. I mean, I used to smoke like at my worst, I was probably smoke. I think I was counted up. I was smoking like 11 grams a week, which to a lot of people that isn't much, but for me that was I was like every day I'm like smoking like a gram or two. So it was getting a bit out of hand. It's getting a bit out of hand. I got kicked out of college because my attendance was so bad, because I was just like going to smoke weed instead of like taking classes. And again, the friendship group, it all just sort of, it was keeping me in there. All my friends were stoners, like, and we was just ramping it up. We was going to the skate park, smoking all day, and that was my life really. So when did I know I had to quit? Um, it got to a point where I remember one night we went out for a smoke, down by the beach at night, and I was smoking, and I don't know what came over me, but as I was smoking, it was like I was having like a kind of psychosis kind of episode or something. It was really dark, and it was like I was in my own. It was like my friends weren't there anymore. I was just like there by myself, and I just had like these really bad thoughts going through my head. I don't really know what those thoughts were anymore. I can't really remember, but I know it was like It was seriously depressing. Like, these thoughts were just going around my head, and I was like, whoa, like. And then I'd zone back in. My friends were like, are you okay? And I was just like, I couldn't even speak to them. I was just like, bro, I'm just like, thinking about some bad shit. I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know what was up with that, but like that was like a point where it was like, okay, this is getting a bit weird now. So I guess I was smoking that much. It was causing some, like, cannabis psychosis, which I think is a real thing, by the way. Another thing was like that friend group was just so toxic, man. Like, the only reason we was hanging out is to smoke weed. That was pretty much it. We wasn't even like in the end we wasn't even meeting up to skate, to BMX, anything like that. Like, we was literally just meeting up just to smoke. And like, we get so out of our minds and just like that'd be it, just be bumming about, like doing nothing. And I feel like weed, it makes you okay with being lazy. So like I said, that friend group, it was pretty toxic in the end. Sort of couple of them were, a couple of my friends were going behind my back, and like, they stopped hanging out with me anymore, and sort of just sending me like fucking some kind of like aggressive messages and things like that. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, like, I thought these guys were my friends, and now all of a sudden they don't want to hang out with me no more. Like, probably because like I was trying to cut down on the smoking after that like episode. I was like, I tried quitting. I'd been with them, being like, this is my last smoke and all that sort of stuff. And like, they didn't really rate that, they weren't about that. But like, it wasn't my last smoke, because I tried quitting, and I just couldn't really do it, like, I went back to it. And then it got to the point where like that friendship group, they just like ditched me completely. So now I'm like, I'm going out by myself, and I'm just smoking by myself, I'm being like that lonely stoner type deal. But what I didn't realize now was, I guess it was a lot easier to quit because I didn't have no friction there. There wasn't like that friendship group, So they're gone, and now I'm just like sort of battling this out by myself now. So I'm just like, I'm still smoking, but I knew I had to cut down. And this psychosis thing, that kept kind of happening in a way, like I was still getting these negative thoughts. Like, it was getting a bit boring. Like, all this smoking and getting out of my mind and just being just lazy, it just wasn't really working for me anymore. So the turning point of where I fully got sober, how did that happen? When I was around 18, in the height of this phase of being a stoner, I knew like this wasn't gonna be my life, So I needed something in my life, some discipline, just something to keep me on the straight and narrow. So, summer of 2018, I put my application in for the Navy to join the military, And I think that was another thing which my friends at the time, they didn't really rate that. They didn't really, because they were like, oh, you're not going to be here anymore, not smoking with us. And like, I think that was another thing which kind of like alienated me from one of them. So, but I was still part of that, I was still smoking, but I put my application in because I needed something in my life. So it got to around, I was smoking all through that winter time, it got to like February of 2019, and I wasn't part of this friendship group anymore. And I decided, like, I have to quit now. I have to quit because, I'm going to go to the military. They're going to like drug test me. So I can't have any like weed in my system, So I needed that. I needed something so big, which was like, if you mess this up, you're going to lose your job. You're going to make everyone disappointed, and you're not going to have a career out of it. So I had to do that. So having that big thing in my life was massive, Like, without that, I don't know if I would have quit or if I would have like fully quit. But that was how I managed to do it. So about 4 or 5 months before I went to basic training, I completely like put it down, and that was me. I actually didn't pick it up again. So that was really good. That was how I did it. And then I just had those months to get sober and get it out of my system before I went into basic training. So that was how I did it. So after I'd quit, did I still have cravings? Yes, of course. Like, it was a massive part of my life. I was smoking for like 4 or 5 years, something like that. So of course I wanted to keep doing it, but I knew like I couldn't. As for like the social pressure, I guess I wasn't part of that friend group anymore, so that didn't really matter. So I didn't really have anyone in my life anymore who was smoking. I deleted all my dealers' numbers, everything like that, and that was me done. But another thing was like boredom. Like when I got bored, it was boring. It was like fuck, like this is where I'd normally go out and smoke or something. I just had to find other things to do. So I like hustled with the skating. I was like, keeping on top of my fitness and things like that, and just sort of finding like other ways to pass the time. So I'd go out for like drives and things like that. Okay, so how has it improved my life? Well, I'd say it's improved my life pretty much in every aspect. So I'm healthier. I'm not like coughing. I'm like keeping on top of my fizz. I feel better. I've got a much clearer mind. Like there's no brain fog anymore. I can remember things. I remember there was one point where I was smoking so much it got to lunchtime and I couldn't even remember what I had for breakfast like 2 or 3 hours previously. That's how bad it was. So now I can remember things. There's less brain fog. I feel better. Financially, that was massive. Like spending 50 to 100 quid a week on weed. That adds up. Imagine you put 50 to 100 quid in like a stocks and shares ISA and like had that investment growing, the compound interest. All that money that I spent on weed could be worth thousands, tens of thousands right now. Potentially. And just real talk, I just had to grow. Like personally, I just had to grow. I had to move out of that phase. Like, I was like 18, 19. I was about to go into my 20s and it was like, I need to get something sorted now. I need to like actually focus on a career because I was in a dishwashing job and I was making like 1,100 a month, which is terrible, at the age of like 17, 18, and I was spending all my money on weed, and that was sort of my life. I'd like turn up to work, do like, do my shift. Maybe on my split break, I'd go off to the skate park, skate, smoke weed, come back high, whatever. Or like I'd finish up work in the evening because I'd always finish like 10, 11 at night, be it like working in the kitchen, and then I'd just go out, smoke weed, and that'd be it. After I quit, I specifically remember like the sleep is so much better. Like you actually have some decent sleep. I don't know what the science is behind that, but there's definitely something there. Like I remember having really, really vivid dreams for like the first month or something, like after I quit, because my sleep was just so much better. I don't know, I didn't go to sleep high. But whatever that was, it felt better. Okay, so what has sobriety taught me? So self-control is another one. Like I can hang out with people at the park now, and I have hung out with people who are smoking weed and just not even being tempted. Like I've been offered, oh, do you want a toke of this? And I'm just like, nah, like I'm all good, bro. I don't smoke. That self-control is massive now. I don't even have to try. And I've been sober for so long now. I don't know, 5, 6 years, something like that. Like I haven't been consistently smoking weed or anything like that. So 5, 6 years, whatever it is, years now. And I don't even like want to go back to smoking. Like I am leaving the military. Like that's happening. Like in 9 months, I'm out. But when I leave, I don't even like have that need to want to go back and smoke weed. Like I don't even want to. So like it changes you. Like you grow up a bit. After you quit, things get better. And I guess that's just a discipline, like having like discipline in yourself to just be like, nah, I'm done with it. That part of my life is over. I'm not a teenager anymore and I'm not messing around like that. So that just gives you some real confidence. Okay, so how can you get sober? How can you do this? Well, you won't quit unless you want to quit. Trust me now, 100%. I tried quitting loads of times, but deep down, I didn't want to quit. I was saying to myself, oh yeah, I need to quit. But deep down, I didn't. I didn't want to quit. So you've got to find a purpose. You have to find something in your life which you want more than the weed, right? And that goes for anything, like alcohol, any other drugs like that. Like, if you want to quit, you can quit, man. Like, believe in yourself. You absolutely can do it. If I can do it, you can 100% do it as well. So you need something in your life which is just bigger, like just bigger than you are. Like, you want that more than you want the weed, right? So for me, that was a career in the military. I needed that. Like, I wanted that, and I needed that, you know, to get some self-discipline and get some money behind me, you know. So I wanted that more than I wanted to hang out with these losers, right? And just smoke weed at the park, and like they weren't even my real friends, you know. I'd rather like go and like figure that out and like get a life for myself type deal. So that's what did it for me. I'm not saying you need to join the military. The military is not for everyone, trust me. I don't even think it's even for me. That's why I'm leaving. So like, but I needed something like that. Okay, so you need to find something like that. Maybe it's like relocating to a new town, leaving a job, and like you can do it that way by going to a different job, different workplace with new people, different support group, a different network of people. I don't know what it is. You need to I can't do that for you, but you need to figure out what it is in your life that you want, and you need to go and chase that, and like you need leave the weed behind, man. Like you need to go chase a life that you want and leave the weed behind. That's like the only way I can do it, really. Like the only way I can explain it. But here's the thing. As hard as it may seem once you're like in that rut, man, once you get out of it, oh my god, life is so much better. Like you're just so much more clear-minded. You feel better. You look better. You're more on top of life. And, you know, we all go through these things like, you know, a bad breakup is what really, really put me in the hole because I was just using it as a coping mechanism. So if you're using weed as like a coping mechanism, man, you need to find something new. You need to go to the gym instead, use that as a coping mechanism. Man, you need to go like for walks, clear your head, leave the weed behind, you know, you need to go on runs, whatever it is. You need to go learn an instrument or something and forget that. You need to try and like move on from that. And eventually you will. But like I feel like when you smoke weed as a coping mechanism, like especially if you got hurt or something, so bad relationship, bad breakup, right? If you got hurt bad with that and you like started like smoking weed just like I did, you're like stuck in that time period of whenever you got hurt, and it's like you're just stuck there, just like festering of these bad depressing memories, and you're just stuck there smoking weed all the time, and like you never move on, and you're stuck in that time period. You need to break out of that and fucking move on with life. You'll crush it, man. As long as you just keep moving on, you know, you take those bad times, you know, you take the good times though, you know, because up on the road you got better times ahead. So yeah, man, you need to get out there and you need to make something of yourself, and you can quit. Trust me, it's doable. People have done it, I've done it. So you got this, man. So that's my video, how I quit weed, how it's improved my life. I want this video to sort of be like a little community of people like who are trying to quit or whatever it is. Like leave it down in the comments. Maybe it's not weed, maybe it's something else, maybe it's alcohol, whatever it is. Like leave it down in the comments. I want this to be like a video where people can talk about this subject and, you know, just support each other, man. Just really support each other. And I like to read all the comments and I like to talk to people, so leave a comment, man. Like let's talk about this. Let's see what the situation is.